Oh, by the sound of that tune, you know it's time for us to check in with a very good friend, former senator and governor of this great Commonwealth. George Allen joins us here on News Radio WRVA. Missed you, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Welcome home. It's good to be with you, Rich.
Thank you so much. I got a lot I want to get to, so I'm going to go rapid fire with you. Number one, I want to talk about the bills, the vetoes, the budget. A lot of the bills that have come through out of the General Assembly have been wild. We were talking with Bryce Reeves just the other day, and he was saying that Governor Spanberger needs to start showing some leadership in dealing with the budget crisis or some of the bills that have come out. I know Danny Avula, the mayor in Richmond, sent her a letter concerned about the bill when it comes to collective bargaining. I wanted to get your thoughts on how the governor is supposed to lead and take the reins of this thing, because it seems like right now we've got a carriage with a horse and no one's holding on to the reins.
Yeah, just sitting in the seat there and nothing happening and not saying anything. Let me put it in perspective for you, Rich, and your listeners. The governor of Virginia, the governorship of Virginia has a 4-year term, just one term. One of the reasons people say, oh, they can't have consecutive terms is because the governor is so powerful that in Virginia, the governor gets to appoint the Secretary of State, the treasurer, thousands and thousands of appointments to important boards and commissions. You know, in most other states, the Secretary of State, the treasurer, heck, in Arizona where you are, they even elect the mine inspector. I mean, so the Virginia governor needs to use these powers and authority in a proportional way and with a seriousness of purpose, and get support from the people for it, especially if it's noteworthy. And when you get to the veto session and the legislative relationship, the Virginia governor has some really strong powers. One is line item veto authority in budget bills. I used it. Then you can propose amendments to bills at the reconvened or veto session, which I did and every governor has done, including Governor Spanberger. Then there's a really interesting aspect of all this, is that those amendments at the veto session can be voted on, accepted, rejected, and so forth. What they did this year is they wouldn't even vote on it. To me, that's just insulting that they won't even get an up or down vote on our amendments. But here's the power that the governor of Virginia has that's unusually strong, and that is a governor can veto these rejected amendments by the legislature, and the legislature, the General Assembly, cannot. And they have no opportunity to override that veto. So whether she signs vetoes or lets a bill become law without your signature, which to me is just that's very weak.
It's immoral.
Well, I don't say it's immoral, but it's
but put your name on. I mean, you want to lead, put your name on it one way or the other.
Exactly. Yeah, leaders need to lead with the support of the people. The fact that Governor Spanberger has been silent with no public statements of saying, here's why I made these significant amendments to the collective bargaining bill, the marijuana bill, the paid family leave and sick leave act, the anti-gun bills. I know when I would have amendment, I had to deal with a Democrat-run legislature, as she does, but I'm not. She's a Democrat, I'm not. But I remember I wanted to amend a bill to get the funding from the lottery going to school construction. I went around the state. We ran radio ads and so forth, and nothing's being done on it. And so several of our amendments, the fact that they weren't even voted on, is just so insulting. And so unless there's ways around all this, maybe there's some deal being made on these policy matters that are getting worked out in the long delayed budget bill, which also hasn't been done. But for the credibility of the governor and the ability to govern with a purpose, with the people behind what she's doing, she needs to veto this collective bargaining bill that, as you said, Mayor Avula of Richmond, but there's local government leaders, Democrats and Republicans, who are against that collective bargaining mandate, which will just increase taxes and costs and paying for lawyers. And the same with the paid family and sick leave bill, the marijuana bill, the anti-gun bills. Now, the skill gains, one thing that could be worked out since they don't have the budget yet done, is that the skill gains measure that was obviously passed by the legislature but vetoed can be brought back somehow in the budget to close the funding gap with all the controversy over the sales tax exemption for data centers. But the bottom line point of all of this is the Governor Spanberger should exercise her authority responsibly, reset the relationship with the General Assembly. And it really shouldn't be all that difficult with members of her same political party, because she's gone along with everything else they've done with the, rushing through the gerrymandering amendment with all the problems we've discussed with that for the last several months.
I'm keeping receipts, but it just seems to me, sir, like she says one thing, she does something different, and then there's that little space in between where she's not acting, she's not reacting, so her narrative stays the same, but the actions don't actually quite add up to with what she says when it gets there. Case in point, one of the first things she did was she said, we'll get out of the agreement with ICE. I'll sign an executive order that said we don't have to be in here anymore. So she could say that she was getting rid of ICE, but then she could also say we're not a sanctuary state. And she's able to play that game of semantics right there in the middle. This seems kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's somewhat similar. I understand what you're saying, I believe. But the point is if the governor's going to make these substantive amendments,
correct,
to these significant policy issues, especially the collective bargaining bill and the paid family and medical leave, which is going to require a tax to be imposed on employees as well as employers. These are significant issues. And she significantly rewrote some of these bills. And so if you expect, and then the legislature, again, it's just in such a backhanded way, just said, we're just going to pass it by the day, and we're not even going to vote on your amendments. And you could say, well, that avoided embarrassment for her, but it's just such an unaccountable, irresponsible way of doing things, of legislating, and nothing is said by her about it. And again, maybe it'll work out in the budget that's, again, been delayed by months in getting it done. But still, a governor needs to lead and lead for the people, consistent with the principles, ideas, initiatives that they ran on and got elected on by a majority of the people of Virginia. And right now, it just seems to be kind of like loose seaweed going with the tide.
Okay, we're talking with Governor George Allen right now. You're the one who taught me this phrase: people vote with their feet. If you don't like what the state's doing, you get up and you leave. I was in Ireland we took a bunch of WRVA folks over there. We were talking about the Irish economy, and it's booming right now.
Yeah,
it's the second strongest economy, and the second biggest investor around the world out of the EU, only behind Luxembourg. Now, Luxembourg has some finances, and they've always been an economic powerhouse. Yeah. Ireland hadn't been, and all these businesses are coming into Ireland, and the reason why is they have such low taxes. They have one of the lowest taxes of corporate taxes of the EU. It's made them an economic powerhouse, and now they're using that power to invest around the world. You and I talk about this all the time, and you pointed out something. There's a scorecard as far as states go.
Rankings,
rankings. Which states are the best for business? Which ones are states fleeing from? And it's awfully interesting when I look at the states that are number one. Texas, what do they have in common? Texas, Florida, Tennessee, all are in the top three, and the ones at the bottom of the barrel are, you would guess, California, New York, Illinois. What's the difference between the two, sir?
Yeah, big difference. Taxes and regulations and the cost of doing business. First of all, Ireland, I wrote years ago a piece called The Celtic Tiger, and how Ireland, throughout its history, the people of Ireland did better once they got out of Ireland, and whether they went to the U.S. or Canada or Australia or wherever they went to. And now, because they have lower taxes, they are really a powerhouse, and they've done really well in the technology area, and they have a skilled workforce as well. And so the other European countries saying, we need to harmonize the taxes because Ireland has lower taxes than the other European countries, other than, say, Luxembourg, which is small. But and say, no, why don't you all learn from Ireland? And if here in the United States, in the competition between the states, there's a ranking that I care about. It comes out every year about the time of the NFL draft. It's called Chief Executives Ranking of the 2026 best and worst states for business. And this is over 650 executives, presidents, the ones who make site location decisions. And year after year, consistently, the top 3 states, best states for business, are Texas, number 1, 2, Florida, 3, Tennessee. And what do they have in common? No state income tax. They have a skilled workforce. They have good infrastructure. They regulate. They right to work states. By the way, number 4, again, 2 years in a row is North Carolina. Then Georgia's 5th. South Carolina's gone up to 6th. They have cut taxes in South Carolina, and now Virginia's going to have the highest income tax rate out of the southern states. Ohio's surprisingly has gone way up because it's gotten a lot of semiconductor fabs. Arizona is number 8. They're still living off of Governor Ducey's great work. Indiana's number 9, and Virginia's number 10. Virginia's dropped from 9 to 10. Utah, Nevada, South Dakota, Idaho, and Iowa round out the top 15. And the loser states, California, New York, Illinois, Washington, Oregon, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Connecticut, are the bottom. And those are high tax, high cost states. And people and businesses are not trees. Unlike trees, people and businesses can and do move. And this is a much better ranking of states that are good for business than that CNBC one that people like, maybe because it's NBC, gets a lot of attention. But that one has a bunch of social stuff in it,
right.
Politics. This is from the actual chief executives who decide where are we going to invest millions and billions of dollars. And this is by far the most important and credible ranking. And so Virginia needs to look at what are the costs of our regulations? What are the costs of our taxes? Do we have good infrastructure? Do we have a skilled workforce? And Virginia does have a good workforce. We have the best port on the eastern seaboard, and the ports of Virginia that are the widest and deepest channels that can take in any ships. But our costs of living, affordability, we've heard that word, affordability, right. Compared to North Carolina, Tennessee, the South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, southeastern states with whom we compete, is going in the wrong direction. And they're already, Governor Spanberger and the Democrats have put Virginia back into that regressive greenhouse gas idiocy that's going to add another 3% to everyone's power bills and have no effect on the weather. But we join all these northeastern states that are losing population in their high cost of living.
I'd rather lean towards Tennessee. Again, every business that every business that moves into Tennessee is offensive to me now as a Virginian, because they ought to move here if we were to get our act together. And so, you talked about this, and I just found it so fascinating that when I was over in Europe, that Ireland follows that same type of procedure and same type of regulation and taxation. They become, in the last 30, 40 years, a powerhouse over there because of what they've done. And you see proof positive in states like Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and now I see internationally. It's something that you've talked about, sir, and I think there's another reason why you're correct about that. I got to run, but I just wanted to ask how the knee's feeling.
It's getting better. I walked over 3 miles yesterday, so it's sore and tight, but it's progressing slowly. I'm not a very good patient, but it's getting better and better and better, but not as quickly as I would want. Being out at the Reagan Ranch last week, having to take airplane trips, being still is not good for it, but I'm getting better. But thanks for asking.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Next week, I do want to talk about your trip to the Reagan Ranch, but I wanted to get to that Ireland piece with the taxation of people moving with their feet. So we can do that next week. My best to your wife. I'll talk to you next week, sir.
All right. Take care, Rich. Welcome back home, and everyone have a wonderful Kentucky Derby game. I'm picking Commandment to win the Kentucky Derby.
All right. I actually, by the way, everybody, we went with Governor Reagan. I was thinking about Governor Reagan. Well, with Governor Allen last year, I think my brother ended up winning $500 by taking all of your picks. So one more time.
Commandment to win the Kentucky Derby, and Percy's Bar to win the Kentucky Oaks.
All right, there you go, folks.
This afternoon.
Like I said, my brother followed all of his advice, made $500 last year, so we'll see if he can repeat it. Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you next week. All right, take care.
All right, adios, my friend.
Thank you so much. We'll continue with you. here on News Radio WRVA, give you an opportunity to try to win $100,000 courtesy of Roof Max as we celebrate our 100th birthday coming up before 10 o'clock today. Pearson Signature Dealerships bring you today's program.